Macedonia Planning Commission public hearing for December 18th. Can we get a roll call?
Mr. Westbrooks?
Here.
Mr. Roberts?
Here.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Wallenhurst?
Here.
Ms. Metzger? Here.
All right. We have two items on the public hearing agenda tonight. The first is a conditional use permit to permit administrative office use as a primary use in the building in the general industrial district, 360 Highland Road. Is there anyone here from the public that wishes to speak on this subject? Comment? No. All right. Then number two, conditional use permit to permit outdoor storage in a general industrial district for premier development, 9456 South Freeway Drive. Is there anyone here to speak to that?
You can speak to it
Would you?
if you have questions. We're prepared.
Are you the okay? The applicant.
Definitely.
Yeah, we'll get you that in the regular thing. But I guess yeah, if there's any. Looks like nobody here. It's past time. With no one to speak, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. France, did you say we could, at one point, you said we could just
I think I heard you
roll
say
right
you-
into the meeting?
Yeah, I think I heard you say you were closing the public hearing and going directly into the regular meeting because there's no one from the public here for the two items.
That's exactly what I said. Thank you.
I swear I heard it.
All right. So call over to the regular planning commission meeting for December 18th. Can we get a roll call again?
Mr. Westbrooks?
Here.
Mr. Roberts?
Here.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Wallenhurst?
Here.
Ms. Metzger? Here.
All right. The first item is approval of the November 20th minutes. Anybody have any comments or corrections?
I'd move to approve those as written.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
That's right.
Correct. All right, the first item, STG Electric, if you guys would like to come up, Todd. Good evening. So we've got two things, or three things tonight, with that. Conditional use permit, the curb cut, and the proposed signage. I guess first, Mr. France, if you'd like to go over your comments.
Sure, I'll read from my report dated December 2nd. As you had stated, Mr. Chairman, a couple issues, right? We're talking about some site improvements, primarily the curb opening on a public street. The sign will be a separate, that's a separate request, so you would want to have a separate motion on that.
Okay.
And then the conditional zoning certificate. So as discussed at the last meeting, I think the applicant actually stated, so just for the record, I think it was discussed that the applicant stated that the zoning administrator had contacted him or there was some conversation and basically said, hey, we don't have a zoning permit for this, for the previous use or this use. And I don't see offices in the code, so you're probably gonna need to get a conditional zoning certificate because you may fall under this retail business, which generally sell a single product line requiring a large floor area for the product, a business occupying or intending to occupy an existing industrial building, a retail business that does not generally need to associate for marketing purposes with other retail businesses in a shopping center, and then the last being a retail business which is determined by the planning commission be compatible with the other uses in the district. So I think there may have been some confusion as we move forward into tonight. Really what it is, it's an office use that's part of an industrial, related to an industrial service business. And as you look into the code under section 116903 B1 under permitted uses, manufacturing and industrial services, and then it goes on to provide a list of factors that would be detrimental to uses in residential districts or provide detrimental type of environmental concerns. But the key words under here are manufacturing and industrial services. And when you go to the applicant's website, they provide three core services for the company: service department, industrial, and commercial. So essentially, STD is a commercial contractor that specializes in industrial services, and it goes on to state to provide advanced electrical solutions for manufacturing facilities, warehouses, power plants, and other industrial settings. So essentially, STG is an industrial service use with a heavy concentration of office employees. Bottom line, I think however we get there, they are a use that would be permissible in the district. I believe they're really a permitted use, but I think part and parcel with the curb opening, you could require that to be a condition of a conditional zoning certificate, since we're here tonight for that anyhow, and you could call it that. Either way, you get to the fact that I think the use is one that the city would want and welcomes them in that building. Now, as it relates to the curb opening, I see that the applicant provided an updated drawing, and I think this is in response to some comments that I may have had in my memo as it related to lining it up with the property just adjacent to where it was previously lined up with.
Correct.
And so if this is a proposal, it makes me happy. I think it just lines up better with that, that particular user. And so if the city engineer concurs, then I think at this point, as it relates to the request for the conditional zoning certificate, as well as the access way, the only issue then that I have remaining is, I felt that the island to restrict left turns out of the applicant's access to Highland, that island should be either raised up higher or changed to a vertical curb, something different than just painting the ground.
It was.
Yeah, it's a rolled curb.
No, it's
with-
in your new drawings too.
Oh, that's on here?
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't see that. Is that on?
Yeah, we raised it 6-inch curb, standing curb, and then widened it so that we're literally 12 inches, took a 12-foot off of both sides to create the drive. So that essentially gave us, I think, almost 10 foot along the road of the quasi barrier.
Okay, I'm seeing that here.
Paint it yellow, and then we were proposing to fill it with, dirt and gravel, and then
Salt tolerant species.
Yeah, that's salt tolerant species, whatever it might be.
Yeah, so I'm fine with that, and again, the engineer's just seeing it now, so he'll opine, but I like the salt tolerant landscaping. I think it just greens up the
Yeah.
frontage on Highland. And we have a landscape architect here on the planning commission, who might be able to opine a little bit on preferred plantings, but I think it's definitely.
Yeah, I can, STG can reach out to her and
Right.
if you want to suggest what. I mean, if I pick it, it might die. I mean, I'm not burning bushes, ornamental grasses, but
Everything that'll die with salt, right?
yeah. Anything pine kind of dies, right?
And that's all I have.
But yeah, we just felt instead of like mulch, that it'd be better to be gravel. But dig it all out and, put dirt in there so something can grow. And with that, just curious, any questions? I think we've complied with everything you've asked for and for your comments and approval.
You're just seeing it now. But
Yeah, I am
thoughts?
chairman. This must have been submitted, not part of the original submittal for this meeting, but
Correct.
at some point afterwards, and that's okay. And to be honest with you, I like this. This addresses the only concern that I had in my memo. 6-inch curb, I think, is what we need. If you have the roll curb, which we have in some other areas around the city, people drive over it and they still make their left-hand turn. Doesn't serve a purpose.
No, you're gonna drive over this one and then go through gravel, so you'll only do it once.
Yeah, yes, yeah, once at a maximum. And I like that you narrowed the lane. I think it was 14 feet on that
At
previous
least.
drawing, which I think is too wide because people will still make the left.
You could try to sneak through it, yeah.
Yeah, we do have people that try on some of our other restricted access points, but I like this a little better. You really point them to the right. They don't have a choice.
They don't have a choice.
Will there be signage?
In
No
that
left
island?
turn, either in the island or on
I
the
think
driver's
that-
side?
I mean, there's a sign for left turn only, or right turn only.
Yeah, a sign that'll say,
Excuse me.
that's what I meant, sign that'll say right turn only.
Yeah,
Yeah, then I'm comfortable, we're good.
regular street sign,
Yes, exactly.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Bobby, got anything?
No comment.
All right. Just making some notes. Commission, do you guys have any?
Are you
comments?
changing any landscaping other than what you just talked about on the island? Or on the
No,
building, okay.
no, I mean, there is no, it's, right now it's all asphalt, so we're actually adding landscaping.
You're adding like trees and stuff in the front now? I
No,
see
no,
them
in-
drawing
in
it,
the-
so
in
those
the-
are existing right now, no? This stuff here,
Those are all existing.
okay. I'm good.
All right, so we've got, so we'll handle the sign after this?
Separately.
Okay. Then I would make a motion to approve the conditional zoning certificate with two conditions. One is a new drive on Capitol across from the hotel drive, and the island restricting the left turns out of the Highland Road access.
Per the most recent drawing?
Yes, per the, most recent drawing.
Supplemental drawing? I
Yeah,
guess?
supplemental drawings, they were actually Saturday morning.
The Saturday morning drawing.
You know how it goes, sometimes you gotta work.
Did you get all that, Susan? Susan?
If you
Okay.
want to make it subject to administrative approval, seeing all this, that's what Brian recommended.
Yes, okay, yeah, if we get an administrative approval of the other items mentioned.
No, you second that.
I'll second.
Okay, any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I think I heard you say in your, with regard to the conditional zoning certificate, you said something to the effect of, to the avoidance of doubt, that the industrial services as permitted under 116903B is the permissible use that we're dealing with this evening and not a retail business.
Did you catch that when I said that,
No.
Susan? Maybe Brian could repeat what I said.
I thought I heard you say it.
Yeah.
Just for the avoidance of doubt, that the conditional zoning certificate this evening is issued to an industrial services use as permitted under 116903B, 1, and that the request is not being granted for a retail user.
1163 or
116903. I have a tendency to speak too fast.
And you did it again, so I have avoidance to
Yeah, avoidance
doubt
of
the
doubt.
conditional certificate issued to,
An industrial services use as permitted under 116903.
Thank you, Brian, because Mr. Hall has to sign the document for the bank. It says it's,
all right, is this just for the conditional use or is this for the actual curb cut as well?
Yeah, that's included under their motion.
So that this is both,
Yeah, and when you clean up the document for minutes,
yes,
I can,
okay, got it.
Can you check his language?
Mr. Westbrook's language.
Yeah.
This is a recording.
Any more discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next we'll deal with the sign.
every 10 years, it's kind of quasi-residential.
France, whenever you feel free to go over your comments.
Yeah, so my report dated December 2nd, the applicant's proposing to reutilize the existing ground sign, ground monument sign base and install approximately a 16.67 square foot illuminated cabinet sign at the front of the property here at 360 East Highland. Section 117907B of the Macedonia Planning and Zoning Code permits one freestanding identification sign with a max of 40 square feet. So the 16.67, absolutely no issue when it comes to that. However, there were no details provided regarding the illumination. A maximum 1 foot candle at non-residential property lines is the standard utilized by the Planning Commission. I suspect that wouldn't be the case here, but just something that notes that. However, I do think because the subject site does sit in the Macedonia Town Center, there's an increased architectural requirement and awareness under 1172 of the code, specifically 117203. I think a more architecturally compatible sign should be provided in this instance, and the use of I don't think that there should be the use of an illuminated cabinet. Some consideration should be given to dimensional lettering. You could achieve lighting with exterior lighted. You could have, I think, backlit or face lit channel letters. there's options to use, I think, as opposed to, you know, kind of a plastic cabinet. So I think area-wise, the sign is fine. I think the commission has been trying to, when opportunities arise with new signs, particularly in the town center district, to make them more architecturally pleasing. I think this is an opportunity and should be considered.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything on the sign?
No, Chairman.
You guys have any thoughts on
Yes.
the sign?
So we received the updated, the memo, and we basically, working with the customer, we're proposing to submit something similar that exists next to, so instead of being a cabinet sign, it would be a solid color sign with the letters pushed through that would be internally illuminated. So very similar to the sign that exists next door to the new location.
There's stone on the bottom already.
So instead of being a
Full
plastic,
Plastic.
it would be a solid panel with push-through acrylic that then lights up internally. And it's very similar to the existing sign that's right next door to the current location.
I think that's the one we just approved this year too, wasn't
I
it?
think so.
I was gonna say, that looks pretty.
So the only real thing that will
Are
light
the
up and
letters.
glow will be the letters.
That's correct.
Yes. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely better than a plastic cabinet sign.
Right, so it's a solid, it'd be a solid panel, and then the only thing that would light up is the push-through acrylic. That's dimensional, that it would extend out.
The dimensional letters would
Correct.
extend or protrude the face of the.
That's correct, right.
And what's the,
Last page.
It's on the last page, you can see a better
What they
detail.
did there.
do you know what that depth is?
It's about a quarter of an inch, a quarter of an inch to half inch.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an improvement. I could support that.
Will it still have the black border around it, or will it just be up that blue?
That's the frame of the cabinet itself. So, because it's a double-sided cabinet, and then the blue is the actual panel that slides into the cabinet, and then the letters that protrude.
That makes sense.
I mean, the cabinet can be painted blue as well to match. It's really just a question of design.
This was in May of 2022.
The neighboring
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Tony, you have any thoughts or anything? Scott, anybody? Well, if you guys would be okay with that, yeah, I'd make a motion to approve the sign as per the revised drawings with the extended letters and not a,
It's on the description is underneath the,
The first page is
Okay.
the old proposal.
yeah.
It just sticks off a quarter of an inch.
Yep.
you know, the projected letters of at least a quarter inch.
And the light bulb too.
Yeah, all of it is pushed through acrylic, including the light bulb.
Did you get a copy of that, the drawing?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
And the internal illumination is a 24 volt LED. This is the, what is used as an internal illumination.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks for revising both.
Yeah,
those.
for sure, absolutely, thank you.
Thanks, good luck.
Get back to here. Just wait for me.
Next is Premier Development, 9456 Freeway Drive. Yes. Come on up. Can you get your names for the record?
Linda Sherman.
Okay.
Spencer Pizak.
Okay, did you get that?
Spencer what?
Pizak.
All right, so we've got a couple of things. Permit, conditional use to permit outdoor storage, and an egress door. Mr. French, you want to go over your thoughts?
My report dated December 2nd. The applicant is proposing outdoor storage of trailers on the property at 9456 North Freeway Drive. The property is zoned general industrial district, which does allow trailers and outdoor storage subject to a conditional zoning certificate. Specifically 116904B2, which does permit the outdoor storage, requires setbacks set forth in 116904F 1 through 5, sort of some performance standards, if you will. And just based on that review and the site plan, just had a few unanswered questions.
Okay.
So the number of trailers being requested for outdoor storage is not provided and should be capped given the limited area on the south side of the building, and provide an aerial image in my report. The application seems to imply that trailers will be stored overnight in the dock pit area.
Correct.
So I just wanted to confirm the location of the proposed storage area and the number of trailers for outdoor storage at any given time. And I think the commission should consider capping that, limiting that. There is a small, we're not talking about a huge area. And then that should be identified on a revised site plan with proper striping, just to show the area where it is. And then that will confirm the setback. There's a 15-foot required 15-foot side yard setback. And it was difficult to tell on the site plan. So those are essentially the main things: is the number, where are they stored, the number, is it in compliance with the setback, and then have the appropriate pavement markings provided for the storage areas.
So they don't have actual excess storage parking. We have 9 docks. I think you should have that on part of your plan. So we're adding 6 to the existing. So it'll be 9 docks. Trucks would park at each dock entrance. But because of the maneuverability, we don't have anything that's hashed outside of that for extra trailer parking.
So they'd only be stored at the doors? you said?
Yes.
Okay.
That wasn't, yeah. So I know that there's pictures currently of the past tenant, I think, had the conditional use because they had extra storage. We're changing that end of the drive to a hammerhead for truck turnarounds, so we don't actually have designated truck access or truck storage on the site.
So the maximum of 9, is that what you're?
Well, I'd drawn up to like 12, because these are not big trucks, these are city trucks. So they might park 1 or 2 in the hammerhead.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that hammerhead for fire access though?
No.
Is that what?
No, it's for maneuverability. Pulling in the vehicle and then backing into the dock.
So,
Go ahead.
yeah, I guess I didn't understand that based on the plan. I mean, the plan showed a proposed 48,000 square foot building, which I can only assume was, the building is obviously there, so these are former plans that somebody provided you? Or did you?
It's an existing building that's just being converted from warehouse to a cooler.
Right, whose plans were these?
Initially,
Yeah,
I think they're CSD, so the previous tenant.
okay.
And owner. As well.
And so the area where it shows on sheet CO1, proposed concrete dock parking area, that's the area we're talking about, so it's only in front of the dock doors?
South side of the building.
Mhm.
Right, so there's also some car parking, and there's only one civil drawing, yeah.
Can I just show you this? So
Yeah.
this is in your plan set.
Yeah.
I think this is part of your submittal.
It's not.
That's not our,
Not
no.
This is, what is this, just?
I'm sorry, that is, yeah,
That is-
that's
that's it,
part of
yeah.
ours, this doesn't look, that drawing.
Oh, that's the other side. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, that doesn't look like ours.
So this is you, or?
That building is ours, yeah, this one is not.
Okay. So the area, see these here?
Yes.
Those are in violation, so those were probably the previous person or something?
Right.
Because there's a 15-foot side yard setback, and assuming that fence is the property line, which I can only assume,
That's our
those would be in violation.
belief.
You're not parking in those areas?
Correct.
You're just parking in front of these bay
Right.
doors?
Against the building, yeah.
But where do you plan to put those extra trucks you just had mentioned?
That would be in the
Hammerhead is on the west side of the site, so there's a revision set actually coming out with the Hammerhead. It's not shown on your original civil drawing.
Okay.
I
'Cause-
can show you where it's at.
So is this, so I guess where these trucks would be parking, is this dead end? There's no way for them to get
correct,
out of here?
that's correct. And the hammerhead will be 15 feet off the property line for sure.
I guess the reason why I'm asking about the fire truck is because I've got to believe they would need some form of a way to turn around if they had to bring their vehicle, their truck down there during an emergency.
Yeah, they'd be able to. These, I mean, a fire truck and these trucks are about the same size.
But if
This is
you're
not
gonna,
a 53-foot tractor trailer. There's no trailer attached.
okay. But if you're gonna park in the Hammerhead though, would that,
It's deep enough.
Limit,
okay.
yeah.
We would need to see that, because I can't, like visually not being able to have a drawing that shows that, I think makes it a little difficult for us to make that determination, and fire's not here. I'm assuming fire would also want to weigh in on that too.
Did Fire have comments on the original submission that doesn't have the Hammerhead?
They
yet
did
added?
provide us just a memo today that we received.
Didn't have anything to do
It
with
just was
with
more-
that. I'll read theirs in the record. The building has been vacant for some time, and the fire alarm, fire pump, and sprinkler system are overdue for inspection, should be tested and monitored if the building is to be occupied. Today, 12/18/23, I walked through the building with the contractor and found numerous exit emergency lights not functioning and in need of repair or replacement. The business also has a Knox box on the gate, and if the gate is to be locked, an updated key would be necessary. We'd like to work with the building owner as they update this facility to make it as fire safe as possible. So, just
Okay.
to let you know, I'll let you have that if you'd
Yeah,
like.
that's fine. So as you know, we do have a building sprinkler permit already. It's all being changed, and the exit signs will be brought up to code during the renovation.
Okay. So I guess, so if we're talking 12, I think in terms of Mr. Friend's comments, knowing the number of, capping the number, maybe we say, it's 12 trucks. When you submit a plan to the building department, they can indicate where that's at so we can confirm that, you're at least 15 feet off, where the trucks will be located. They could probably look at that administratively and make sure everything's documented on there. But I think that's the two big things. The site is, back there is pretty much hidden as best
It
you
is,
can.
right.
The parking lot, looking at Google, I drove by at one point.
Right, yeah, no, it's very hidden from the road by
Yeah.
pine trees and a mound.
Yeah, about as much as you could do. I've got no real issue with that if we wanted to let that be an administrative check, and probably, on that little plan would show the Hammerhead area.
I think it should show the Hammerhead and show what those trucks are that are gonna sit in there, and then
Yeah.
just let fire weigh in to make sure that that would still provide them enough access if they needed to. If trucks were parked in there, they needed to use that as a turnaround for during an emergency. Oh, that no issues.
Did you have anything?
I have nothing, Chairman.
Bob? Okay. Then I'll make a motion to approve the outdoor storage. Let me see, is it is this a conditional use? Okay, approve the conditional use to permit outdoor storage at this facility, with the condition that a revised plan is shown that denotes a maximum of 12 trucks parking, and shows the area where the trucks will be parking, and depicts the Hammerhead turnaround, and all that information to be approved administratively. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
More discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I think I heard you say you incorporated the staff's comments into your motion, including the city's design reviewer? Because she did have some comments.
Oh, did she? I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, so just, as long as they're incorporated into your motion, I think it's acceptable.
Okay, yeah.
There's some clarification on man door versus dock doors,
Okay.
and to make sure that the
You
colors.
got that
match.
on there, Susan?
The colors will match.
Patch up
Is
defect.
this for both then, again, is this for the conditional use and the egress dock doors?
Yeah, I think they're part and parcel together.
Okay.
Yeah, because frankly, if they don't perform on the numerical standards, then the use is revoked. So, but I think they will.
Okay.
Yes.
It's patching.
Yeah, so I guess, did you see the architectural review? comments?
We did,
Any
and
issue
so,
with anything
no,
in there?
we're matching the white overhead doors and the metal doors, gray on the north side at
Okay,
egress.
so you're okay with all of everything she had in there, okay. And we've got a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Great,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much. All right, next is Arby's. Everyone here from Arby's? Didn't see you moving there, I thought there was nobody here. Somebody stuck in this. All right, so Arby's, this is for the signage. I guess we could jump right into Mr. Francis' comments on this, whenever you're ready.
Sure. My report dated December 3rd, RV's updated site and building signage. So the applicant's proposing to re-sign the site, I'm assuming part of a branding initiative. And it's at 683 East Aurora Road, zoned B1 Convenience Business District. I provided in my report in a table format, location of the existing and proposed signs, which are effectively the same, and the size of the signs, which are effectively the same. Now, there's some non-conformities on the site, and those are the most germane to my report that we needed to talk to, I think, tonight. So, the ground monument sign is non-conforming at 9 feet tall. It's capped, I believe, at 8 feet tall, so that's, obviously that's an issue. It really needs to be lowered to 8 feet or cure that deficiency in some other manner. But it is a non-conformity under the code, the way it reads in section 1179-15K. The treatment of non-conforming signs, essentially you have to bring those signs into conformance in this instance when you're having a complete overhaul to the signage on the site. So under 1179-15K, that prevails that the sign is 1 foot too tall and will need to be addressed in some form or fashion. And then the other issue is there on the south and east elevation, it contains 2 signs. In 1179-03 F3, 1179-03 F3 states that only 1 sign is permissible per building elevation. So that, again, has to be cured in some manner, whether it's removing a sign or seeking a variance to have more than 1 sign per building elevation. So those are the 2 things that are really the most, again, most germane to the memo. And then the awning material, it states that it'll be decided it'll be decided at a later date, and based on previous conversations here with the commission, there was a strong interest in having the awnings be metal rather than fabric. So I think that's an issue that just needs to be discussed with the applicant, but it sounds like the awnings are coming down and the material is yet to be chosen. And the city's position, to the best of my knowledge, from the last time we talked about this, was to have metal, which is something that I would recommend as well.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
No, Madam Chairman.
All right, do you guys have questions?
I probably have one.
Okay.
I took a picture of your old Arby's. This is what it used to be.
Okay.
And I think you want to sort of do the same thing, don't you? You have the sign thing, you have an Arby's up here, which is the cowboy hat with the
Yes,
word Arby's,
yes.
and one there. You sort of want to do the same thing?
Well, what we've done is, well, according to the regulations, we're not allowed to have that second sign on the front elevation. Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
According to the regulations, we're not allowed to have that second sign on the front elevation. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah, you can only have one sign per elevation, and so it's your,
So the lettering sign, the channel letters that say Arby's are not going to be included. I have revised art that reflect the requirements.
no.
You did what? You changed, you don't care about having it the old way?
Well, after talking with the officials here and finding out what their recommendations are, we changed the art
Okay, well, that's good.
to conform. And I have
still have a
copies.
question maybe for Brian.
I have copies for
Did
everybody.
the ordinance
Okay, I could pass
change?
them back there.
How did we get how did they get this sign in there? How did they get that in there unless the ordinance changed? I couldn't find it in the ordinance change.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a number of things that could have occurred.
Same with the monument.
Yeah, so there's a number of things that could have occurred. I mean, this is, I think it goes back to like 95
Oh,
when this was originally installed. And so, sure, Mr. Cox, the code may have changed over time, making it
Okay.
non-conforming. It may have been the code at the time, and it may have been approved at the correct sign height and correct requirement, and it was installed differently. So, you know, I don't know what the status is, but I treat it as a non-conformity
well, okay.
rather than a
If
legal
the
sign.
ordinance changed, it makes perfect sense to me, but
I could
the
have.
other argument they possibly make is, it's a cowboy hat. Yes, it has some lettering in it, but it's really a logo. And
Which
there's a
is
whole
a sign.
bunch of them up and down the commons. Chili's is a good example, where they have their logo, which is some kind of a hot tamale, and then below it is the wording. And the same with, but if the applicant is perfectly happy to change it, I don't have any problem whatsoever.
Yeah, I can't speak to Chili's. I can't speak to that, but I will tell you that a logo's a logo's a logo's. It's a sign. It's a sign under the code. It's an insignia, whatever you want to call it, a branded mark or whatever. It's a sign under the code, and so they have to comply with the code as it's
Well, all
written.
right, no, I understand.
And that two, just so you know, that two sign on the same elevation, I've been here 16, 17 years. It's been that way as far back as I have been.
Well, then, I don't know how this ever got on there.
It could have, who knows?
This is what the internet shows, the Arby's
In
at our
nine-
location.
in 95,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
maybe-
say I was
maybe
still in
much
high
older.
school, junior high.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
No, I have no problem if the applicant's happy with it. We're fine.
And what's the height for the monument that it can't be?
And then it's required to be 8 feet, and it's shown at 9, so I don't, so we cured, it sounds like we cured the wall sign issue, which is good, and that
Yeah.
takes care of the issue, and I'll look at it in this revised package. How are you dealing with the deficiency of the 9-foot? versus
Okay,
8?
no, it's a maximum of 9, okay.
8.
Well, what we've done, I have artwork that reflects the changes that were required also. And that's for the monument sign. Now, is that 8 feet, 96 inches from grade, is that it? Is
Yeah,
that the code?
Total height from grade is 8 feet that's allowed.
8 feet?
Mhm.
Okay.
Is that, that's not just the sign that's on it, it's the entire monument itself, the brick, right?
Yeah, it's all integral and part of.
That gets hard to change.
In order to do that, I think we're going to have to remove some of the brick base and put a new cap on it.
Would it change the look here then? Like, would it still be an arch, like you have depicted here? It looks like you took the old sign and you put
Well, that's a directional sign, I believe. This is the monument sign.
Oh, okay, I see.
What?
Did you get the?
Oh, so you're going
Yeah, I'm
over,
looking.
this will slide over the existing brick sign then? or go over it, and so you'd have to cut like the top of that brick
Right,
off?
exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Oh, nice, okay. You got that? So it looks like they're gonna trim the brick, and then this goes over. That's different.
Go ahead.
So, you're removing brick at the base,
We're gonna remove the brick at the top.
at the top, as
Right.
opposed to the base.
Right.
Is it not possible to remove the brick at the base?
Well, yeah, I would, well, actually, it's a much, much bigger job, much more expensive job. Because if you remove the brick at the base, that's what creates support for the rest of the monument. You know, it's pretty impractical to do that. It could be done.
When you took that 9-foot, the 9-foot measurement, where was that taken from? Was it, because like we're looking at the sign right here, I guess, was it taken from like where it dips down? Or was it taken from,
Where the decorative brick starts, not
yeah,
the
because
foundation.
yeah, because that's kind of what I'm wondering, because like the foundation's exposed in that image right there, so I'm wondering if it truly is only 8 feet. Like, once the brick starts and there's no foundation shown. Because I could see, I mean, if you did measure, so I guess what we're looking at is right here, like that part right there is your foundation. So if we measure from here to here, then that probably would give you your 9 feet. But if you took
I
it
think
from
you're
like
looking at a
here,
directional sign.
No,
that's-
this is
that's
the monument
that's the
sign.
monument
Okay,
sign.
all right.
so if you took it from truly like right about here where the brick starts, does that keep you to your 9 feet? Because right here,
feet.
like this area right here, you see what I'm showing too? or
Okay.
not?
This 9 feet is from grade. Okay? It's from grade.
So here, let's look at it on the.
It's from the ground.
Yeah, because what I'm saying is, it's like, what I'm trying to do is like not have to, what I'm trying to see if we can find a way that maybe like you don't have to cut the top of that off and put a whole new thing there unless they want to, but was it measured from like truly like right here to the top? Because that's part of your foundation that, you know, if they took and put some landscaping right up to that, it would,
That's probably,
because I view the brick as being,
settled. Some point,
yeah.
It's probably covered.
If it's measured from grade, isn't that 9 feet? Wouldn't he be qualified then? It doesn't.
he has to be 8 feet. He has to be 8 feet. So the reason why I'm asking about that is because that's probably close to a foot. If it was measured from here to the top, that's probably your 9 feet, but if it's measured from.
Well, I
where the
think that
brick
would make a
starts-
difference. It would make a difference.
Do you see what I'm saying too?
Mhm.
Yeah, so the height of the sign shall be measured from the average natural grade at the base of the sign or support structure to the tallest element of the calculated sign area. So if, you're talking about the exposed foundation?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you can kind of see in that photo
Right,
right here.
you can see the gray of the,
Because I like the old sign better than
Footer sticking
what's
up,
proposed, I
grade
think.
comes towards the base.
All that's exposed, so was it measured from here?
Still wonder how the old sign got in there.
Yeah, so it's the average natural grade at the base of the sign or support structure.
so, yeah.
So what's the average between, Mr. Westbrook, can you go back to that
Yeah.
image you just had?
I mean, it looks more like 6 to 8 inches to me, that the footer,
He can get a variance if he
Well-
wants to go through all that,
Yeah,
right?
maybe we can get to it without a variance. So what's the, you're adjacent to a rolling slope, right?
Mhm.
Landscape. So what's the average grade there? I feel like maybe between the foundation and the fact that the average grade may reduce it down too, you might be at your 8 feet.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably settled
Could
at
be.
some point.
Probably did.
Just becomes a landscaping thing then.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was
And
wondering,
could-
like if you could just.
Yeah, if they could regrade it so that the ground level is where it was supposed to be, is that
Is
8
that
feet?
distance 8 feet, yeah?
Or is that the 9 feet?
That's what I'm wondering.
I don't
And,
know.
and if it wasn't, if that was the 8 feet, could you get rid of this or reduce this, regrade it to get 8 feet? I don't know if they want to do
Does
that.
it become a water flow issue though?
No, what it would become there is you'd actually be blocking, if you have any weed holes or anything like that on that brick, it'd cause an issue if you can grade it up to there. I don't know if it does, but I guess what I'm thinking is like, if there's, to go to all of it, unless is this the sign they want, or is this the sign they would?
They want that sign.
They'd prefer you reuse
Yes,
this? Okay.
absolutely. This is,
That's a lot of, when I heard that you guys were cutting it, I thought this was a whole new thing, but when I heard you're cutting the top of that brick off,
and that's why
Yeah,
it's
look at
72
that.
inches, because they'd have to cut it off where the radius stops. You know, which really kind of,
personally, I prefer the brick sign, honestly, too. I mean, if we can try to somehow,
Yes.
if it conforms, if it doesn't, then obviously that's one thing, but if it conforms based on looking at how that grade's settled and that foundation's exposed.
If we could, yeah, right here is where the ground, I think, is supposed to be, so there's no foundation exposed.
right.
If we knew what that, you know, if that to the top of the arch was 8 feet, I think you'd be good. You may have to maybe bring in a little more mulch, regrade it, so, you know, cover up that
Yeah, I mean, that should
foundation
be
so that we've
anyways.
truly got the 8
Well,
feet.
we could do that.
So, I mean,
Really,
I'm
you
not
should-
exactly sure, you know, do we, if that's approved, was there anything that you were actually changing on that sign?
They're putting new signs on.
The sign itself.
Okay, I mean, so we could probably approve it contingent on you checking that measurement and getting back to the building department. If it's not, I don't know, I don't know that I'm crazy about what they're proposing in that, this additional drawing with the,
Yeah, I would prefer.
with the fake wood base on it, or I assume it's fake, yeah, composite fiber.
It looks cut off, because
does,
it is.
looks like, yeah.
Well, it doesn't look
Yeah,
finished up at the top, that's the
Yeah.
problem I have
Right.
with it. I feel like if it's gonna be that, then it needs to have some more, like, this wood should really continue around and almost frame onto that piece. But, I mean, again, I think we go back to,
The wood doesn't even tie in with the building then though.
no, it doesn't, I mean, that's why I prefer, if we can try to reuse the brick itself, I think it makes more sense.
You could approve it subject to.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like the wall signs are cured, and I looked at it, and they are. Approve it subject to confirmation of the average grade, and take a look at what that actually shakes out to be to the top of the foundation. And if it's at or below 8 feet, then you're good. You don't need to come back here, or you won't need to come back here regardless. And then otherwise, you could go to the Board of Zoning Appeals to seek a variance, but I feel like seeing the foundation, how it's exposed like that, and doing some grading around it, and taking the average of the grade, you probably are gonna get real close to that 8 feet.
Cause you don't
Well-
want, technically, you don't want that foundation exposed anyway.
And the other thing is, it's like 8 feet, it could be just a little bit of that arch that's just gonna be non-conforming, which isn't even the whole width of the sign. But, you know, we'd like to avoid coming back for a variance if possible.
Okay, well, I would say let's approve the signage, subject to confirmation of that, the height of the sign from the top of the foundation,
Average grade.
average grade.
Now, average grade or actual?
Well,
Because there's a mound up here,
ideally, yeah,
and,
Average natural grade. And that mound is there, as far as I know.
You can adjust the grade, can't you, a little bit by adding some dirt?
oh yeah, we will do that.
Well,
We
that's the
can-
way to do it, and then measure it, and then come back to them.
All
That's the
right,
way I look
okay.
at it.
Will, 117903.
Not here then.
Otherwise you have to seek a variance, and
I got a tape measure I bought at Mark's.
117903
Bust it off.
A 4B. In compliance with the measurement of height. And if he confirms that with the building department, then it's okay. Otherwise, I'm gonna seek a variance.
okay. Are they open to the metal awnings? Do you know?
Well, I don't know, they haven't decided yet. I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna be involved in the awnings,
Okay.
just the signs maybe.
Okay, so we'll just deal with the sign.
Why do you prefer metal awnings?
think it's that, we've
They
had
last
some in
longer.
town that fade,
just
have
get faded,
faded out, and they just look, they're not even close to the same color, but the ones around the corner, the other side of the building
Right.
are still full
Right,
color.
right,
and it-
right.
like, what is
Right.
this? It just.
It says in
starts
the
to look
plans
bad.
here, it's a shed style reskin for awnings for the plans that they submitted.
Somewhere it said in here too that awnings were by others at the end of the day. I don't know where I
Right.
saw that.
Well, I'm gonna let them know. I mean,
Yeah, they can't proceed with awnings until they get approval here, so these commission members can approve it subject to metal awnings, and if that's not good for their palate, they
Okay,
can
well-
come back.
well, could we have that conditional approval
Yeah.
at this
Up to These
meeting?
guys, yeah.
I think so.
Okay, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
That'd be good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, does everyone want to take a stab?
I think you're
Maybe three, maybe three to one. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the signage, the building signage as presented in the revised plans with with one sign per side, and contingent on providing the height of the sign compared to the natural average natural grade. For the monument sign, that would be approved as well. Also, approved would be metal awnings. And I think that's it.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion?
Nope.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Susan, have a copy of these?
I think we said, yeah, we signed it. We need an easy one? I think we have an easy one coming up. All right. PostNet, come on down.
I was gonna say, good evening, Sharks.
You don't have any mulch on your sign, do you?
If you do,
If he
there's
does,
a
it's probably a
problem.
bigger problem.
I'm David Rydell, owner of Postnet, my wife Kimberly.
Hi.
How are you guys?
Good, how are you? I've got some revised plans based on Mr. Francis' comments.
If you want, I can pass those back there. There it is.
And my sign company evidently got approval to work in the city also, which is attached to the front of those.
Mr. Francis, you want to go over your comments?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, we did, okay.
Checking your stuff right now.
I did a quick review. So, yeah, I think there's no point probably going over my comments other than it looks like they addressed most of the comments from my December 3rd. The only thing I didn't see is the trim letters need to be bronze. I didn't quickly, bronze
Is that the-
returns, trim cap bronze, okay. I thought I saw black trim cap retainer. Yeah, so they just need to be bronze. And
I got-
then, you need to approve, the planning commission needs to approve the red, it's been a standard in commons, so it's just how the language now reads for the commons, you approve the color that's submitted,
Okay.
so just a formality.
Okay.
And then, what is the unit number? Because
We
it's
are-
not 36,
We're 3B.
3B. Yeah, I spent a long time trying to figure out which
Right.
actually unit this was, and I saw your, I spent a lot of time looking at it. I actually compared it to the martial arts people's Facebook page, and I couldn't figure out on the original sign, on the original plan, what unit it is. So 3B is good. I know it was a divide off of one of the other,
Used to be part of Hallmark.
yeah, Hallmark. Yeah.
That's right.
And I think to the building commissioner, to Susan, did they submit, did the people, the new owners, Osborne, submit a plan that shows updated?
Not to me,
No.
not to me.
No. Okay, well, that, for you, it's irrelevant for you guys, but it would be helpful to have something that shows current tenants. And you have a breakdown.
Is the martial arts sign moving over then?
It's gonna be moved over approximately 10 feet, I believe, is what it's gonna be, yeah. And the shopping center, Osborne, hired the same sign company that's gonna install my sign to move that one over.
Hmm.
Gonna sit the same distance from the bottom of the.
You know, I didn't measure
Is
their
there, I mean, it just
distance.
looks like it's a little bit higher than the martial arts. I wonder if
It
it
does.
would just be a little cleaner if they were both at the same.
Right.
Yeah.
exact distance.
Yeah, just have the bottom of the letters aligned.
Yeah, I wonder if, I don't know if theirs is 15 inches from the bottom or not. But that can all be addressed when it's all getting installed. If, because you're gonna want it to be 15 inches, so that they will align and they'll, I think, even if his has to move up the martial arts a little bit, I think it'll still fit within 15
Like
inches.
centered or something. It would be better.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're just having a conversation about that particular issue. If Mr. Osborne, you said, is doing that?
Lance Osborne, yes.
Yeah, Lance, so, yeah, they should request approval from the building department, because there's electrical in there and, in the signage, so there's lots to think about rather than just shift it over. So they should contact the building department before they do that.
Who should I have, Lance do that or the sign company?
Mr. Martinowski could contact the office.
Oh, James, yes,
Yeah,
okay.
let him go ahead and do that.
Will do.
Yeah, because I agree with the comment that you just made about the height. It's a shall, so the bottom of the sign shall be 15 inches from the bottom of the fascia band, which that tells me then the martial arts is not at 15 currently. So they'll need to comply with that. So Mr. Martinowski should contact Mr. Rodick, and then a plan should be submitted to ensure compliance for the martial arts sign as well.
Okay.
It probably doesn't require planning commission approval, but it at least needs to be documented.
These came from your sign company?
No, I did them.
Okay. Because I was just wondering if this was just photoshopped and moved over, is it just maybe not to scale?
Right,
It's not aligned?
that could be it too.
Okay.
First thing I'm gonna do tomorrow morning is measure the distance.
Don't get that marked tape picture.
Yeah, right.
Where'd you get these printed at, Dave?
Oh, yeah.
Just get it printed out.
Yeah.
So we think all their issues, all your technical issues are addressed, they just need to pass the message along for the martial arts to submit a plan. It's not necessarily, should that be part of the contingency for this, because
Oh,
it
yeah.
all affects that?
I would make a contingent on this approval, so if there's a momentary lapse in reason as it relates to that sign, this one's not approved.
Okay. And in the color, mention the color.
And you need to formally approve it.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, any more discussion here, you guys, any questions? All right, make a motion to approve the post-net sign, based on the newly submitted plans, with contingency that, there's coordination in a drawing submitted to the building department for the martial arts sign. And also note that the red color is approved. Did you get all that? All right, is there a second?
Go ahead.
Who-
I'll second it.
All right, any more discussion?
Won't they have to move that up too?
All in favor?
Move that up.
Aye.
Oh, aye, sorry.
Good in favor, aye?
I was hearing discussion.
Thank you.
All right, good to go.
Hey, Dave, do check on that signed contractor registration. That looks like there's something that actually is expired that they turned in. I don't know that they are registered
It'll
with us.
expire in a couple days.
Yeah, a couple
It's good
days,
for
yeah.
2023 now.
Okay.
But do check
That's
with
my
them.
sign guy. I will, thank you. Thanks.
I remember coming through.
You're welcome, no problem.
I'm glad to
I
find
remember
out.
advertising on Facebook 1,000 times.
Your sign with martial arts is not conforming, isn't it?
Well, we don't know. It might be, but it's over too far, and it needs to
With the height,
scooch.
wasn't it?
But
What
the-
did you say?
No, he just, the chairman, he just copied it over himself.
Yeah.
In line with the.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, are you hinting that I talked too long by turning the air conditioning down?
That was not a motion that we made, it was the air conditioning.
No, we are not our problem
The
today.
commission. All right. Next is the hotel, 20 Girl Scout Way. Come on up, guys. Good evening.
Good, how are you guys doing?
Just for the record, could we get your name?
Yep. Vaibhav Patel with Oakwood Hospitality.
Got that, Susan? All right. I guess maybe just jump in, with your comments for this, please.
Sure, from my memo dated December 6th. I guess, first question I just have, it's not in the memo, and if you're not able to tell us because it's privileged in some sense, that's fine. Are you able to tell us what brand hotel this is?
Not yet. I mean, we're looking at either IHG, Hilton, either one of them.
Okay, and they both carry the same linear footprint?
Yes, yes. We won't be changing any footprint or anything on this.
So the only control as I'm assuming a local franchise owner?
Yep.
Is you have some, I'm assuming in the inside of the building, you have the ability to do some things.
Yes.
And on the skin, you have the ability to do things, but the form of the structure, you're limited to the linear nature?
It's going to be, yes. It's going to be what we have presented over here.
Because it's a rectangle on a square.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little harder, essentially. Okay, well, that was some thoughts I had at the onset. And I'm assuming you've seen the report I provided?
Yes. Yeah. And we replied back with some of the information, and then we address some of the comments, and we've distributed that here, so we'll be able to go through that.
Okay, so I'll just go through my comments then. So and I know there's a aerial that was submitted, so, typically the engineers should know, it's a basic code requirement. You show all the driveways and locations of driveways, because we're trying to understand ingress and egress into this site and how it relates to other sites. So it may seem ticky-tacky, but there's a really good reason why we ask for those things.
I think it was submitted in the original plan, original submission, but maybe that wasn't good enough, I guess. So
Needs to
when-
carry forward through all the plans.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so as it relates to the landscape plan, so under what a title called Site Preliminary Development Plan, and I had shown the previous unaddressed comments in italics, and that's the location of the buildings and driveways and aprons and such. Sheet 2 provides a view shed diagram that documents the need to provide approximately 7.5 feet of visual screening, or height screening, if you will. The landscape plan, unfortunately, on sheet L1 is incomplete and doesn't really speak to that. So that's from, an analysis standpoint, it's hard to understand or really determine if what's being proposed is acceptable. So just at a high level, landscape plan needs a lot of work.
Yep. With the revised, do you mind if I comment? But yeah, with the revised plan, if you look at the new one in the L1, we've proposed a 2 feet high landscape mounding, and on that we've proposed some variety of trees and shrubs and stuff like that. Whether that's acceptable or not, we are open for feedback on how to address that, and then go from there.
I would just need to see more about, like what the species are, because I'm seeing a lot of different sizes, symbols, and yet they're all kind of labeled 1 of 3 plants. And then, and if that's what they are, then I would maybe suggest a little bit more diversity of species. Just, you wouldn't want some disease to come through and wipe out half your palette of plants. So, I think you're showing 2 different sizes of white pine. Why not just bring in a different species of evergreen, get that diversity, especially you get better texture and screening that way.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with honey locust as a shade tree. I love spirea, but I think maybe we could, add just a couple more species that would, be hardy to the environment out there. So just to kind of
Sure.
give a little bit more.
Yeah. We'll be able to get more diversity and send it for your review.
Yeah, and I think it would just maybe get a little bit more seasonal color. And I think for a hotel site, you're gonna wanna have that look. But, definitely call out every plant that you're showing so that we know what we're looking at, and then we can weigh in on the species a little bit better.
Okay.
Yeah, so ditto.
Yeah.
Landscaping plan needs some,
Yep.
it needs some work, so. And then, the mounding, we want to see probably a, cross-section of what that mound looks like and what you're proposing on top of that mound. And then that whole, kind of your portico area where you come in and drop off, you have a landscape area there, it just looks like it's grass. And we're gonna wanna see some species added to that.
Okay.
And that can be in the updated plan. Photometrics, I don't know if you've revised the photometrics or addressed them yet.
Yes, you're about item number 3, am I correct?
Yeah, item 3, yeah.
Yeah, so we've updated, the new lighting photometrics. You can look at the SC101, which is attached over there, and you'll see that he has brought the foot candles down on the border to 0.5 or whatever your requirements are. Last page.
Oh.
I believe in the previous one it was 1.345 or something like that, and the requirements are to be around 0.5 on the residential border, and so that's the update. What we ended up doing is, instead of putting a 25 feet high light pole, we brought it down to 18 feet. So that would be more acceptable, we are assuming, or following the direction from you on that.
Yeah, I was thinking more like 12 to 14 feet.
Okay.
Something a little more human scale.
Okay.
And do you have cut sheets or, so the shoebox lights are not very attractive. We want to see something a little higher quality than the shoebox light.
Okay.
So
you would like to see that 18 come 12 to 14 feet?
yeah, I think that's probably the max in my mind.
Okay, that's fine.
And then to see, the cut sheets, I don't think the shoebox lights are out of my thinking in terms of a quality fixture, so. And then that will change your photometrics.
Yeah, that's even gonna bring more under control than what it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, if I were you, I would look at some sort of like a shepherd's hook style lighting, because you can control your light downward and it just keeps your lighting levels. So, but that's up to you, you pick. Just something more decorative. I'd like to come back to item 4 and talk about this a little bit later, the traffic study.
Mm-hmm.
Just come back to that one, it's probably a little bit of a bigger discussion.
Okay.
So the utility easement, you have parking spaces, drive lanes, landscape islands, just some documentation. If you've submitted, I just haven't seen it.
That's the plat, I mean, we submitted that back in March, and, you know, at the follow-up, I mean, this is all we have. And it's attached, you know, first 3 pages of the plats are attached over here. That's the, you know, that's the only document, I mean, you know, we found in our easement and stuff like that. And it does not restrict us, you know, to do a non-building kind of a development. But
Let me ask you a question. What utility is it that this easement is on?
I think it's a storm sewer.
Yeah. Don't you have to get some kind of permission to build a parking lot over the storm sewer or something from whoever owns the easement? Isn't that true normally?
Whenever the easement was recorded, whenever this work was done, you know, it should have been recorded by the owner, builder, or whoever is involved, and it should have been recorded. And, you know, and that's what we have, I mean, you know.
Mr. Cox, it's a storm sewer easement, created for this subdivision, let's call it, the Girl Scout Way subdivision. And typically a storm sewer easement, a little bit different than gas, for instance.
You'd have to get permission from the gas.
You'd have to get permission from the gas, they have very strict rules.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, for the storm sewer, so long as there's not a structure in the easement, we're good. They can still access the storm sewer through the manholes or the catch basins if they have to get in there to clean it or televise it. And worst case scenario, if an excavation has to be made and the storm sewer needs to be repaired, well, they just have to cut a hole in their parking lot and then fix their own parking lot later.
I didn't understand that. I didn't know who owned the easement.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I just had a question for the city engineer. How do we know it's a storm sewer easement? There's easements, utility easements documented all over the plan. And when I look at the plat, the utility easement defines something different than a storm sewer easement dedicated to somebody. I don't know, who's that dedicated to? The city or to the?
I don't think it's to the city, I think it's just to themselves as a subdivision.
Well, they dedicate specifically on the utility easements, which are defined on this plan as a utility easement. Illuminating Company, Ohio Edison, East Ohio Gas, Philadelphia.
Brian, I think that's the utility easement along the edge of the right-of-way of South Park, or Girl Scout Way. I think what Mr. Cox was referring to was the, if you flip to page 2.
These ones here. Oh. These big ones?
Yes.
So, where's that language?
There's on the front page, there's something about the utility easement, it talks a little bit about it.
The front page of this document.
Yeah,
that's speaking to private utilities,
Okay.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, I saw that.
Electric. I just don't know how that relates to these utility easements all over the plans.
Yeah.
And the right to put things within that utility easement, separate and apart from electric, gas, cable.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, if this community is gonna issue approval to a plan, I just wanna make sure the community, from a liability standpoint, is issuing approval to something that can be done. To me, it feels like an open issue still, but.
Yeah, I would agree, if we don't know what those easements are for, too.
Yeah, that. And it can be an outstanding issue. I mean, we can just clear it up outside of this commission.
So how do we
Yep.
get, my question would be, I'm pretty much looking for some guidance. We've involved a title company, we've involved our, engineer to find out more detail on this.
Yeah, you should do a title search on your
We've already done it, and there's nothing we found. I mean, we can share that information with you, but there's nothing else we found than what we are presenting over here.
Well, is someone here from Barrington Consulting?
No, that's our engineer, no.
So
They're not
your
here.
engineer is documenting utility easements all over this plan.
Sure.
They're getting that information from somewhere. It's not on the front sheet of this. So I would go to Barrington and ask them, what gives? Like, where did you get this information from? If it's not on your title report, they gotta be getting it from somewhere.
There is the information on title report, which has been translated over here, but this is it only says 20 feet utility. I mean, it doesn't give any more greater detail than, than what states over here.
So it's
If
a
that makes
blanket,
sense.
it's a blanket easement?
I would not know.
Yeah, I think-
the-
Not a
the technical
blanket
term.
easement, it's 20 feet wide, but here it just says utility easement for the benefit of parcel A and B. A is the Girl Scout building and B is the Penn Station building. So this is the storm sewer that
Yep.
picks up drainage from those two properties and carries it to the detention pond that's south
South.
of their proposed site. Page 3 of the plat.
Have they done an actual topographic survey of the site yet? Because I know I've seen the same note that when you guys were here the last time, topographic information is obtained from Google Maps.
No, we've not moved forward with any solid engineering or building design or anything yet, because we're still waiting for, preliminary approvals to go in that direction.
Because that's gonna bring the whole height into question, I think, still, and we mentioned it the last time that we needed to understand what the exact grades were around the site and like on the site.
For the height of the building,
Well,
would that be a concern?
It's gonna affect the overall height of the site, because it could make your building, I mean, if that part of your property sits, if theirs is higher than what is being anticipated here, you might see more of the building than what you guys are showing
So
us.
you're saying it might impact the view shed?
It's gonna impact a bunch of different things, I think, yeah. I mean, the view shed and just in the overall height of,
The overall height would be from the natural grade, so if the grade is higher or lower, the overall height of the building will not change. So, whenever we do topography, if the overall height is above a feet or two, I mean, I understand it would impact the view shed, because that changes the angle of that.
Yeah.
And that can be addressed, that can be, whenever the topographic is done, because we know we have to have a, view shed in there, so if that 7.5 has to go to 9.5, for example, then we understand, that we have to do it, but it should not change anything else, from my understanding.
Everything else being relative, whether
To the- yeah,
it's
because-
here
yeah.
or it's here, it's
Yeah.
here.
okay.
Yeah, but view shed, yes, absolutely, you're right. As soon as we do the actual topographic, and if it's any different than that, it does impact the view shed or the privacy or whatever you call it. We'll adjust that,
So- I guess so then the reason why I kind of am asking that question too is because the section that you guys are showing, or the view shed image that you guys are showing, you're only showing the building at like 130.
That's the height of the, the fourth floor. That's what, the window, the fourth floor window. It's not blocking the building, like the rooftop and stuff like that, you know what I mean? It's blocking, it's providing the privacy from our window, the highest window, to the house, if that kind of makes sense.
Well, I think it's the overall height of the building though has to be measured. The highest point on the roof. Yeah, so you're not measuring, that's not taking into account the highest point of your roof, because your roof, and I guess just even saying that like exclude the tower pieces you guys are putting here, the
gables and
roofs
such,
or whatnot, yeah.
the height of your roof is at 145 foot 11 and a half. So your view shed is only showing it at 137 feet. So it's even higher than that by almost 10 feet.
Okay.
And that doesn't even include the peaks of and you're almost at that
So
point.
you're saying that that view shed should be covering the entire building? Like, is
That's-
that what the expectation
That's
are?
what the code,
'Cause
well, that's the
from-
way the code reads, and it doesn't even, I guess we'll have to also, Brian, you might have to weigh in on this, but like, does that include the peaks of the now, the peaks of these towers that we're adding, that they've added? Because the way the code reads is it says, to a height in excess of 3 stories or in excess of 35 feet measured from the natural grade of the building line to the highest point of the roof, on the roof, except that these provisions shall not apply to the height of a clock tower, wireless tower, chimney stage tower, scenery loft, or other mechanical apertures part of such a building.
Yeah, then it goes on to state that those projections shall not exceed 10 feet above
What-
the roof peak.
Yeah, what you are talking about, if I'm not mistaken, is the overall height of the building and not the view shed. Or am I?
I
Yeah,
think
but-
he's talking about overall height of the
Okay, that's, yeah, so the overall height of the building, we're not, that's not what I'm addressing right now. We were talking about view shed. So the view shed height that you're talking about at 1037, that's the, from the top of the window. So that's a, does
But
that
this
make sense?
highest point of the roof though, so your roof's at 135 foot 11 and a half. It doesn't say the windows.
No.
Am I misunderstanding this? Because I'm taking out of the equation the other, I guess the roof peaks can't be any higher than 10 feet above what other parts, so that part's, I guess, would be okay. But and all such projections in excess of 10 feet must be approved by the planning commission.
You're not confusing these elevations with the ones on the plan, right? Like, you read the 135, this is a different datum. They started that, the plan shows these starting at like 0 and going up to something, and these are actual elevations, I think. This is showing.
Proposed hotel 4 stories, 49 foot high. Top of parapet is at 1037, but the top of parapet's technically at,
Well, you're looking at an updated drawing, so, what you're reading, we updated the drawing with gable roof because we had a flat roof that we applied at one of the.
right, no, I'm following you there,
Okay.
that I get, and I'm not taking into account these, I'm just looking at what your top of parapet wall is
The
at.
view shed drawing shows like a 49-foot high structure. But I think if you were looking at those one things that had numbers there, like elevations like 135, that's not, has nothing to do with these 1030s and things like that.
But are they still over, is that still higher than that though?
That's, I guess that corner point is 49 feet above the grade.
And that's now gonna be changed. With this one, if you remove these gables out of that, then we are under that 49 feet, we are at 45 feet.
Yeah,
Just,
I wasn't questioning the gables, I
Okay.
knew those
Yep.
fell into,
So I think that point would be somewhere here, 49 feet.
I'm reading this right.
Yeah, for the right, yeah, for the new one, yeah.
Generally, it makes it difficult to do these things on the fly, during the meeting.
Yes.
That's part and parcel with the problem here, so. But it looks like sheet A201, right? So what, Mr. Wallenhurst, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like the height of the structure is 45 feet 11 inches.
Correct.
And then the gables extend above that to 54 feet 8 inches.
Right, which they're allowed to by 10 foot based on the code, if I read that correctly.
Yeah, and in excess of that, the planning commission projections above that, 10 feet have to be approved by the commission.
So they're fine in that respect.
Is the parapet part of that though?
Yeah,
What's that?
Is the parapet a part of that height? Like, does that get, to keep them at the 10 foot? Or is it just the gable that has to be?
Oh, I see what you're getting at, because it's
Does the roof,
to a height in excess of 3 stories or in excess of 35 feet. Yeah, so I guess it is way over that, because if they're 35 feet, if 35 feet is all that it's allowed, 3 stories or in excess of 35 feet, so 35 feet is a cutoff, plus 10 feet would put,
I think the new ordinance that we guys accepted allows for a 4-story building with a 45 feet height, plus a 10 feet of, cable or accessories or whatever you call it.
I thought it was 4 stories and 45 feet max. I didn't think it added another.
And then 10 feet over that for.
Here's the minutes from before.
Well, I'd suffice to say the language is not great, but I think it is 10 feet above the 45 feet is the intent of the ordinance.
Okay.
That's, I think, is what the intent is.
Well, it says,
where do we start measuring 10 feet?
Mr. Patel
Above
commented
the
the ordinance
45 feet.
2007 that a 4-story, 45 feet high building was approved in B1 zoning. Do we actually have the language of that ordinance?
I don't know if that's in there. No, I haven't looked through that.
Isn't this the highest point of the roof right here?
45 feet.
No, they're
45 feet.
that's
over
allowed.
inches.
They're allowed to go up to that because it's considered a tower. So it's not that.
It's called a
much.
tower. It's not part of the roof.
I would consider it a tower element because they are.
building's
If that was
over
the
11
entire
inches.
roof, then
I'm sorry?
that would
I
not.
feel like your building's
It's a
over
tower.
11 inches.
When you look at the top of the parapet wall,
Yeah, it's the top of the parapet wall
okay?
is 45 feet 11 inches, right?
Yes, and so do you measure that or do you measure the roof trusses for the height of the building?
That's height.
Because from what last time when we came, initially we were proposing a flat roof to avoid any height issues, and we had a discussion about this, and we'll do some western reserve roof on the building, so we don't, flat roof was the idea, and that was 41 feet, roof of the top of the roof trusses was 41 feet, and then you had a parapet wall of 7 or 8 feet, which came to a 49 feet, and everything was fine. And then we got a review this time that the flat roof is not allowed. So then we went back.
Well, the flat roof should never. We brought that up the last time. I know we
Yeah, I don't
talked
think that was
about
ever
not having a flat roof. I know we discussed it.
In March of 23, in the planning commission.
I know we said that it would need to have some pitch elements to match what's
Yes,
going on
and-
around there.
And we, yeah.
Yeah, so let's do this the systematic way and look at what code says. 113302 is the definition section of code, number 14. And I'll read that and then we can digest it. Height of a building means the vertical distance to the highest point of the coping of the street wall in the case of a flat roof, and to the mean height between eaves and ridge in the case of a pitched roof, measured from the finished grade.
So, by the way, that's reading to me. It it sound like it's 11.5 inches over.
That's what I think, yeah.
Okay.
And it would have been 11.5 inches over on your previous plan too.
Correct.
You know.
But 11.5 inches is nothing. You
We
can,
can, yeah, that's fine, we can,
that's
you know, we
fine.
can
Force
apply
the
for
brick off.
whatever needs to be up, you know, if it's a variance, then we can go for it, that's not a big deal.
well, you don't think you can shed 11.5 inches off the building?
Well,
That's a question I would ask my architect,
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a question I'll ask my architect, and if we can shed it, then we're good, if we cannot shed it, then.
Yeah.
we'll
I mean, so
try.
my read of the code is that you're 11.5 inches over,
Okay,
and then you can be upwards of 10 feet for projections, and if you go over 10, the planning commission has to approve it.
agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the way I understand it
Okay.
too.
So, I
so we
mean,
can, if we can find a way to bring the top of the parapet down to 145 and an inch short, and then everything anyways come down within the 10 additional feet, so we are good. Okay.
I gotta tell you, your life would be a lot easier, because if you go for a variance, all the property owners within a certain distance are notified.
Okay.
I just.
They'll all be here.
Yeah, they'll all be here.
I'm sure it.
Yeah, I'd say if you can work within the code.
For all the height variances and the neighborhood, troubles, I don't see anybody here. You know, on my last meeting, this meeting, public hearing, you know, nobody's here, so. But I get it, you know, I think we'll try to focus on bringing the height down, my architect will try to do that, and then we'll go from there.
So one of the questions I had, 'cause one of the things I was gonna recommend doing is, because I feel like the bump ups, well, I think they look good and they add a nice detail to it. I was gonna ask about even doing a mansard roof, but if we were to ask them to do a mansard roof where it almost creates like a pool on the inside, you kind of follow what I'm saying, where it just similar to what was done in a couple of the other buildings, I think that Pam had included in her images. Yeah,
Whatever the skin test.
they had done almost like a mansard roof where you kind of creates almost like a pool, basically, so you're just hipping your roof like at the outside. So it's just like, it does that and then it drops back down and there's your roof on the inside. It does the same thing on the outside there too. So again, from the outside, it looks like a hipped roof, so this is all be shingles and then that right there is your, EPDM or whatever you're using there. If they were to do that, then that's gonna put them over that height by more than 145 feet, correct?
Is this what you're talking about, Scott?
Yeah.
I'd have to see it on a plan, I mean.
And I'll be very honest, the moment we take this to the franchise, pretty much they're not going to approve this, because some of the franchise, like Hilton, has had those kind of roof in the past, and they're changing the elevation. They're making the past one to go to more flat roofs and stuff like that. So, that mansard roof is, chances the franchise will not approve that. They will work with everything else on the building, like exterior brick, all that stuff, to come very close to the Western Reserve look, but that roof,
I just
and
feel
if that's gonna mess up with our height, then again, we're in the same.
I know, and that's
So,
what I don't want to recommend,
Yeah.
is if it's going to mess with the height.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, while those are nice, they've done a nice job, I feel like there's still some stuff missing. I feel like there needs to be a little bit more to tie it together, because they're just, again, minimal pop-ups here and there.
Okay.
That just needs some, I feel like it just needs some more studying, and again, Pam had pointed out kind of doing some brick detailing where there's, larger expanses of blank facade and stuff like that. So like on the ends of the building.
Yeah, so I don't know if Pam had a chance to review this, this
We just got
elevation
this
yet.
tonight.
And because what she was looking from the past was lot of E-face.
Right,
we had
right.
60% brick, but there was a lot of E-face,
Mm-hmm.
which we got the point, and we've since converted everything to a brick, and with multi-brick. It's a complete change of the elevation. So but yeah, we'll be more than happy to take the advice, the ideas, and see what we can incorporate in there. That's we've changed the building completely, so it's not going to hurt for us to talk to the city architect and see what they're recommending. But I would first like to share this elevation with them and see kind of where what are the inputs on their end.
You said Hilton. You said Hilton again. Are you speculating that Hilton would have interest?
No, no, no.
or-
What the reason I said Hilton is because that specific roof is what Hampton Inn and Suites, if you look 20, 25-year-old Hampton Inn and Suites, that's the look they used to have, and they have since changed that drastically. So, we're not speculating anything, we're just giving you, that's the one, other brands haven't had that kind of a roof, but the main Hilton's one of the leading brand. If they're going away from it, chances are no other brand will approve that kind of a roof, if that makes sense.
But you're designing this, you need to.
I'll be very comfortable sharing the brand, as soon as we have a green signal on the development. I mean, of course, we have to get our drawings approved. We have to get a lot of things approved through you guys, so you will clearly know what brand we are bringing. But just at this point, I mean, we can't be putting that out in public.
Yeah, I think you'd be surprised. I mean, you're a hotel franchisee, you know more than we do, but I'd be surprised at what Hilton will allow. So, if it's Hilton. But nevertheless, I do think the brick improvement that you made is a significant improvement as opposed to the EFS.
Yeah,
I think the devil's in the details on the 45 feet. You just need to show
We'll figure it-
compliance
yeah.
with that, and we'll review it.
I was under an honest impression that we are looking at the roof trusses and not the height of the parapet, because parapet for us was that additional, the additional feature. That's the way we were always looking at parapet, and that's why we didn't even, or else we would not come back when we know that 45 feet is the height. We would not come back for that. But
I would think you
that's
should,
fine.
you
We
can still
can get
achieve
that.
that, because I think
Yeah.
you could even if, like, and my other thought too would be is even if you were to take this and then make that part, like right here, the mansard roof, and keep that kind of within your confines of what you guys were trying to show right there, and then maybe if these just, I'd have to see it proportionally, but even if those were just to come down just a hair, I know they're allowed to be that high, but even if they were just to come down a little bit, I feel like that would help tie more to what's the neighboring buildings are showing and stuff like that, especially the American homes where they have a full pitched roof there. Maybe they have a mansard. I'm not quite sure what's going on behind there. I didn't look that closely, but I feel like that would tie better to kind of what is going on here, as opposed to just kind of throwing some pitched roof elements on there that don't quite. It just looks a little bit unfinished, I guess I would say. And maybe this one's bothering me a little bit more if this were somehow to be broken up. If, I don't know, if it did something like that and then pitched itself right there, I think could help bring the look of it down a little bit. I just feel like there's a little bit more exploration I think that needs to be done in the elevations. Because that. Okay, so that's actually one straight facade. So this piece right here could kind of come over this way a little bit. One could come over this way a little bit, because this whole piece right in here is all one facade. Those towers are the ones that sit back further, correct?
Yes, what we'll do is we'll put our architect in touch with the city's architect and kind of see, if those ideas can be explored and go from there. I'm not an architect, I don't know, we'll confirm and try to get as close as we can without having any issues.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some ways they can make that happen with what I'm referring to, even without having to mess with your height, because again, those could come down, this whole part could come down a little bit and just make that the mansard roof piece and still keep you within your compliance.
Okay.
And is there a reason why this kind of doesn't connect to here? Is there a window?
That's a canopy usually, you're talking about the canopy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that usually does not connect to the building.
It just
That's
looks
just
a
how
little.
it does not connect to the building.
It just looks and seems a little odd. There it goes. Is it allowed to connect to the building, or is that something that isn't allowed? I guess I'm just asking from like a franchise standpoint, just trying to understand before I like make
Never
recommendations.
never looked into it because we didn't have to, so, you know, something that, yeah, now that we know if that's what you want to look at, we can look into it, yes.
Okay.
Feels like it's just to cover the driveway, the parking.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
there-
only for the
because then there's a
driveway,
vestibule that
and there's a
enters in.
vestibule that's, you know, that you walk into, so it doesn't matter.
So can I ask a question? Sure. Where's Michael from, the architect?
Michael Most is our architect.
Where's he from?
Indiana?
Okay, so he's not a local.
No, he's not.
Licensed architect in the state of Ohio, but he's not local.
Yeah, he's licensed in state of Ohio, but yeah, he's not local.
I was just gonna suggest to your point, I mean, the city, I found them to be very amenable to having meetings with the consultants. I mean, I've been to a number of them. A lot of these things can be worked out here, you know, at the staff level with architects. and things.
We've tried it. We wanted to have a pre-meeting so we can address a lot of this concern and not waste anybody's time, but we were told to go to planning commission. So here we are. We were here in March and we are back here again. So, you know, we'd love to do this. You know, that's how we've always done our development. We meet with the city officials, discuss all this out. They say what they like, they don't like, blah, blah, blah. It's all taken care of. We come to planning commission. It's a quick, most of the time it's a quick meeting because even planning commission by then is aware of what's going on in the back end. But, you know, over here we were told to go to a planning commission. So here we are.
Kevin, can I ask a question? Brian. Brian, I get hung up on ordinances. The ordinance here, it's going to be 45 feet, which we're looking at. But then, now that you can't have a flat roof, how do we get that extra 10 feet? What do you call that thing? It's in the ordinance here. It has some kind of a clock tower, wireless tower, scenery loft. What particular portion would add an extra 10 feet? How do you read that ordinance?
Well, we're using that to screen mechanical appurtenances, right?
Yep.
So that's what I would link it to that.
And what I'm recommending.
So this, well, let me finish. So this roof here would be to hide the mechanical, is that sort of, I just.
And provide design, but yeah, it's good.
And scenery loft.
As
and
long
you
as
know.
this doesn't get above 10 feet,
Yeah, I follow you.
then that would be.
I just wondered how you read
And the
that.
mansard roof that I'm kind of recommending, if we can somehow implement that into like where the cornice area sits, I think that'll then they'll keep them below, it'll keep them still within compliance and not push them over where they would need a variance for something.
If you don't mind me asking, you know, there's the TJ Maxx and stuff over here, that shopping complex, that's all flat roof. You know, did you guys make an exception for that development or, you know?
They have a pitched roof element on there that's not completed yet.
Okay, so all Office Max, Burlington, TJ Maxx,
And it was
I
an
think there's a
exist-
fourth one coming as well. All of them will install a,
That was an existing condition an
Okay.
existing building. They do, the last piece of that, the new addition part they're putting on does have a pitched roof element on the top, on that corner.
Tower.
It's a tower on the corner.
yeah, Sephora, I don't know, whatever that's coming, yeah.
All right.
What's, yeah.
Beat
we can-
that pretty good. Maybe we can move on.
We
I
can,
think
yeah,
we're-
if you don't mind, can I request we talk about traffic study, because we have a TMS engineer here, you know, again, we are not technical, you know, so if they have to answer some of your questions, and then, you know, maybe we're going on overtime, so. Is that okay?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know. I didn't know that's who was there.
So, yeah,
We could have cut him off of your dime a while ago.
Learning about pitch roofs
There
and
you go.
elevation heights.
What's your name?
Yes, my name is Andrew Pearson. I work for TMS Engineers. We're out of 2112 Case Parkway South in Twinsburg. I was the traffic engineer who produced the traffic impact study for the site. We were hired to analyze the effects of the traffic that will be generated by this site. A hotel, we use the standard practices, it's called an IT journal, that produces a land use trip generation manual. And we used the most recent one, and we determined that the hotel is generating not a large amount of traffic. So the procedure, if I bore you, the procedure is you take a traffic count and you determine the existing traffic. And from that existing traffic, we then grow that traffic to be a no-build opening year. And the opening year for this site, I believe, was 24. And from that, we have to use a 10-year growth to look at 2034. And then we analyzed the study intersections. In this study, we analyzed 82 and South Bedford Road, and then also the South Park Drive, South Bedford Road intersection, in addition to 2 site driveways. So we got 3 technically intersections that are included in this study. From the no build, we then have to add the generated traffic to determine if there's going to be any impacts based on this development. And in this case, there was no degradation above the, technically the intersection of 82 and South Bedford was operating at a level service E in our analysis. And the small amount of traffic did bump that to level service F, but level service E is considered unacceptable. And then we determined what improvements are going to be necessary to be able to mitigate that level service E. In this case, I determined this intersection needs dual eastbound lefts and then a westbound right. There's various other alternatives that could have been also analyzed. I believe a roundabout could potentially work at this intersection, but the cost could be unfeasible to have that intersection become a roundabout. So I'm not indicating these are the only improvement alternatives, but that would bring that delay down to an acceptable level. And then the intent was we add in this additional traffic and see if their site is going to cause more improvements to be necessary. And in this case, the delay, average delay was increased by roughly 2 seconds, which is an insignificant increase in delay. And we did not recommend any additional improvements other than what the city should be potentially looking forward to in the future. If, let's say, 82 is widened, or if you had some kind of major reconstruction project go through, then you could use our analysis to at least give you an idea of, at a planning level, what could be potentially done to that intersection. We also looked at that unsignalized driveway at South Bedford and South Park. That is operating at an acceptable level. We don't recommend any improvements at that. The traffic on South Bedford and South Park are very low. We did run a warrant to see if they need to have turn lanes installed. That would be a northbound left, and that did not meet a warrant. So we would not recommend that a turn lane be added to account for either the no-build traffic or the build traffic. At the 2 site driveways, we did analyze that. There's not a lot of traffic on South Park Drive, so we did not anticipate there'd be a lot of delay there, but we analyzed it to be thorough, and we determined that it is going to operate very well in terms of level service. We do recommend, even with the low volumes, installing stop signs at the 2 driveways. A lot of driveways have stop control, but to be thorough, we recommended 2 stop signs be added. I am happy to answer any questions, but in general, we do not anticipate any additional delay, an insignificant amount of additional delay based on the traffic volumes that are anticipated by this hotel.
I guess you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll chime in for a minute. I haven't seen the traffic study yet until tonight here, so we'll have to take a review of it. Did you analyze the intersection of South Bedford and Highland, south of the hotel?
No. The study area was these immediate intersections. But the low amount of traffic that we're generating by this site once we distribute it to the main generating distribution, will go towards 82. That's where most people will want to go to. The freeway access is right there. We wouldn't anticipate very many vehicles would then take a south direction on the South Park Drive.
Yeah, I would think most would go to 82, but folks that want to go Route 8 South or 271 South, they probably would head down to Highland.
Could be, but once again, with the amount of traffic we're generating,
Yeah.
it would be a very small amount of traffic that would be heading down there.
You look at the study, they've got, in the morning, 24 cars coming in, 18 exiting. This is during the peak hour, and then
What
the
time of day
evening.
is that though?
Probably
Because I'm
like
thinking about with the high school down the street.
Well, that's, Jason has on my mind too.
What I was thinking too.
It's determined to be 7 to 8 AM.
Yeah.
So that same,
The peak time down there, the high school, I would say probably 6:50 to 7:10.
Mm-hmm.
in
That
the morning.
area gets pretty congested around that time. I've seen
Yeah.
it that way.
I think first classes are like, what, 7:20, 7:15, something like that.
Kevin, you look at the type of business it is, I think that's what they're saying, the type of business, a hotel business, people come in the morning, stay overnight, and they're gone. It's not like steady traffic going in and out. Is that, did you take that into account too, that it isn't very,
They make
it wouldn't be that busy, I wouldn't think.
They make it easy for me. So there's a manual that's produced. They look at traffic counts that have been collected throughout the entire nation. And hotel is a very commonly analyzed land use. And so in this case, there was several different counts that were contributing to the data that I was able to take the number of rooms, the type of land use, which is hotel, and then it tells me exactly how much to account for. So it takes a little bit out of my hands in terms of guesswork and says this is what you should be using. And if to go against the manual, you almost have to have a reason or additional traffic counts to be able to counter. But 99.9% of the time, the manual is really good at determining an estimate as to traffic. But once you said, most people going to a hotel will typically arrive probably a little bit later. They're probably coming in after work, or they may come after 3 or 4 o'clock, because that's when check-in time is. So there is, in my opinion, a wide variety in terms of when people arrive. So it's not like it's not like an office building where everybody arrives from 7 to 8 and everybody leaves from 4 to 5. This has a wide variety of time periods where
I
they
was
arrive.
thinking more like leaving though, leaving in the morning. Like a lot of traffic exiting the hotel and hitting that intersection there while there's a lot of traffic coming in. Might not be a problem, I don't know.
Well, the data's showing that a lot of people are not leaving all at once. So once again, you don't have a commuter component. Like some people will leave at 6 to be able to catch a flight or whatever the reasoning for staying at the hotel. So we don't have a huge surge based on the data that's coming in of everybody trying to leave at that 7, 8 o'clock. And I would expect a lot of people avoid that time because they don't want to be on the road during the peak time if they're staying in a hotel. They may sleep in at 9, 10 o'clock to be able to leave.
I get that, and that's typical use, but I want to make sure we consider atypical use. So we have another hotel in Town Country Inn and Suites, and if you drive by there, it looks like it's a secondary parking lot for Spectrum service vehicles. And I imagine they all leave around the same time in the morning. I've not actually observed that, so it's just something to think about that. Like, whoever ends up owning this hotel could contract with someone who puts like 50 service techs there or something. So, but is that typical? I don't know.
Do they have to do a study down Highland and Bedford?
I guess it depends on if you think there's gonna be any impact. I mean, if you believe the numbers, in the morning, 24 vehicles leaving.
That's not the biggest.
If they all went south, I don't know that you would even be putting like a right turn lane down there or something if they all went south.
Right.
If this was
Putting one there anyways,
but not necessarily for this.
No.
For this reason. And if there was an improvement down there, it would probably be like a right turn lane, and you're saying there is one going in.
Then that would
Okay,
be,
so
that
that's
was my
kind
only
of, that's
thought
kind of
was like when you
covering
get
it
down there,
already.
Yeah,
Oh,
then
I
I
see
think
what
that
you're
knowing that, that's good.
And
And also keep in mind, folks who are going to take 271 south, they're probably going to do 82 and go inside rather than going Highland. Because once they go ahead and they figure out
Yeah.
that the 82.
They'll take
and
the
left
commons
it-
cut
Yeah,
through.
that's a better way to get to 271 south. So again, now you're not, you're
I
only
guess if they're a
talking about eight
traveler,
south.
it's wherever Google or
Yeah.
Waze
Yeah.
tells them to
Yeah.
go, which
Pretty
hopefully
much,
would
'cause
send them
they're
the
not
the
gonna be-
least
Yeah.
It would
busy
send them
directions.
downtown.
Well, we've
It's
got
gonna
two
be
Dunkin' Donuts and a Starbucks that pull in that direction too.
Oh, yeah, good news.
Yeah, that's where you're actually going first, is one of
Yeah.
those,
Right.
before you get.
That's all
You're
heading north.
exactly right, that's all bad. Chairman, if I could for a
Yeah,
second.
please.
Did you say that your analysis indicated that the level of service at the 82 South Bedford intersection would go down as a result of the hotel?
The analysis shows it's right at that critical spot where it's at a level service E.
Goes from an E to an F?
It goes to a level service F based on the, if you don't build it, but we're only increasing, as Mr. Westbrook said here, we're adding a minimal amount of traffic compared to 82. It's just that minimal amount of traffic was enough to
Pushes
go
it
that,
over.
just push us over into the F.
And,
But
yeah, and it sounds like you identified some improvements that would be needed at that intersection to keep the level of service the same after the hotel as it is prior to the hotel?
No, we analyzed the no build to get it to a level service D. The intent is to get it from an unacceptable level service EF range to a level service D. And then add the traffic and see if that improvement would then need more improvements that would then be necessary. But in this case, we already were at a fairly high level service EF, and the improvements would then be necessary to bring it to a D. And then we added the relatively small amount of traffic, and we had a 2-second delay increase.
All right. Well, we'll have to take a review of the study. Like I said, I haven't seen it until tonight, and probably confer with the chairman a little bit as well. He tinkers in this.
Kevin would know.
Your trip generation that you've provided here, that's based on a hotel
Yes,
and based on the most current ITE manual?
yes,
And 99 rooms?
yes.
And of 99 rooms, you're saying 24 cars will enter in at the peak hour in the morning and 18 will leave? Is that how I'm understanding it?
Yes.
I should
It
probably
says
have that
enter
page out.
24, exit 18. Is that not correct?
Those are the numbers you got.
There's a number in the table, yes. The numbers in table 3.2 are what's coming directly from the manual.
And
Sorry,
what's
I was
your-
pulling the page.
What's your anticipated or expected occupancy for the hotel?
Mm.
What do you strive to achieve?
It's
75%?
throughout the year, we're looking at 65 to 68%. 75 would be great, yeah. Would love it.
In the case of this land use doesn't really consider the number of occupied, it just takes the number of rooms and says based on typical studies, you're looking at this amount of traffic.
So that's kind of like a worst case scenario then, right?
It's
Assuming
not
all the
necessarily
neighbors-
worst case, it's like an average.
Oh, okay.
It might be a little bit higher, might be a little lower. I guess, and looking at those 24 and 18, the 24 entering, that's probably, it's a combination of employees and some get dropped off. I don't know, there's not a whole lot of people show up in the morning,
No.
which is, okay.
Check-in's not till 4.
The 18 is the guys who are there for work and are leaving.
And
leaving
7 to
at
8
that time.
a.m., 7 to 8 a.m., we don't even have employees coming in. Most of the housekeepers start coming in after 9, and the first shift and the breakfast is before 6, so they're 5:30, so they kind of, it doesn't hurt the peak hours.
That's interesting, yeah, they're more coming in the morning than they do leaving.
Yeah.
That's why I asked that question.
And
It's odd to me.
especially if they're saying they don't have people come in, like employees.
Well,
and stuff.
his
Now,
site
it-
may, but if they're taking, let's say, 300
Yeah.
hotels throughout the entire nation and do an account, like you could do a fast food land use, and then you've got, some fast foods have huge mornings, some don't. So it does average out, but this land use is pretty specific. There's not a lot of wiggle room in terms of, like some, you could say, well, I'm looking at fast food with and without drive-through. Hotel's a hotel, it's pretty self-explanatory. And the data is, it is what it is.
And there's
Yeah.
several different land uses in there that are related, and I was looking at those, one that's all suites or a business hotel or a motel or a resort hotel. And then this general hotel, and that, the one he used is the worst case of all those. The other ones are all lower. I just, looked at that today.
I didn't, I'm glad it did, I just knew that you didn't say anything about suite hotel, and I knew it wasn't a motel. So hotel definitely met the criteria, but it's nice that it's the worst case of the bunch.
Yeah.
And this isn't like, you're not planning it to be a conference center or anything like that, because I mean, that
would
would
change.
drive up your morning numbers.
That
You
would
got
change.
something that starts at 8 and people's.
Bigger meeting room or conference center, stuff like that, that might change the way you look at the morning.
And some of the ones that are in that trip generation survey that come up with those 24 and 18, it might have a conference center in it, but it's
Yeah.
considered, it's not necessarily a business hotel or resort hotel. It's getting lumped in there, and that's how the 24 maybe gets up higher than what it would be, because some of those 300 or 500, or whatever they surveyed to do it, came into play. And, Joe, you guys will review it in detail, everybody guys. My review of it, looking at it today, I don't have any real problem with anything in it.
Okay.
Trip generation is relatively low. I think anybody who does leave in the morning, it's gonna be kind of a pain in the butt, because you've got, if you could somehow put the capacity out so that it's a bunch of dumb high school kids going past it, it's gonna make it, makes it more complicated. It's not just a lot of cars, it's a lot of kids who've been driving for 2 weeks.
Inexperienced
Driving past it,
drivers.
So it's gonna, hopefully it doesn't become an issue down there, but I mean, I haven't heard of any safety issues with the neighborhood that's down there coming out and having a problem.
Just complaints of speeders.
Yeah. And I realistically, what could actually be done if there was, yes, it is going from an E to an F, but it's right on the threshold, like, what is the breakdown's 80, I think.
Yeah.
It's at 79 now, and it's going to 82. It's like, you're just, if it was a much better operating and you added 3 seconds to it, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But what could really be done? You've got turn lanes at 82 and South Bedford. The intersection that's it's driveways, and then the one to South Park, as I was called. There's not really a whole lot you could do. There's not really I don't think there's a need for a left turn lane to turn into it. I'm not sure what you would do, but you guys will look at the details as well. But it doesn't look like, unless I'm missing something, that Chagrin Valley will look at, it should be a big problem, I don't think.
Did you want me to?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got
yeah,
other
that's sure where we
things?
left off.
Yeah, so I guess, I don't know, is there any other traffic questions for Mr. Pearson? I'm good.
I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So go ahead, Mr. France.
Well, just out of curiosity, how did you make the determination to plan for suites?
Oh, sorry. Asking a question?
No.
You're asking me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can you?
How did you make that determination to plan for suites within the building? I noticed you had suites.
Yeah. What happened was, we wanted to put more brick, and to break that breakdown from the E-face, we had to bump out a section, additional section. When you bumped out that section, it became suites. We had to put 4 more feet of it, so we could put more suites in there. So, suites are basically, they are not they're not an apartment suite, but they go from having just a standard, king bed. They have now a sofa bed in there, more, just a 4 feet wide and living space, I guess.
So back in March, you did not have suites?
No, back in March, because we were not, it was all E-face, but then we added some brick, so to break it down from the flat E-face, we bumped out a couple of sections in the front, a couple of sections in the back. Back in March, we did have suites in there, but they were not as many or as significant now, as compared to them now.
I think the only, there's 2 final issues I had. On item number 7, did you see the image I showed you So I think you have an opportunity to combine those two in the back and make it just look a little nicer.
Yes, I'll be honest, yes, we'll do that, I'm not smart enough to understand that, that's what my architect or designer will do it. But, again, that's not a, you
Sure.
want to make it look as beautiful as wanted, that's not a big
Appreciate that. Yeah, I just felt like right next to each other is an
I would,
opportunity.
what we would have loved to do and what we're hoping to do next is most important because there's a lot of architect comments that, we cannot go through here. We'd like to have that meeting with the city architect and kind of make sure that, whatever we're taking, we're incorporating. Because if we just keep on doing this on an email, it's just losing the thread. So,
Yes.
I'd like to.
Let me just go back to that comment. So I actually think now it makes more sense. So I think the intent was to get the planning commission involved earlier and then do the staff conversation. So I think that's why you got the answer you got.
That's fine, yeah.
And if that's the case, it makes a lot of
Then,
sense to
yep.
do it that way. So this next step would be take these comments, because you're really what the commission tonight, they could give you a preliminary plan approval or a conceptual plan approval. At the end of the day, what's most important is the final site plan approval, because
Yes.
they're really, the others don't really exist.
Yeah.
But it's good to get all this feedback. So-
Yeah, this is perfect. What we are used to is having that planning commission approval of, yes, we can build a hotel over here, that's your max height, or this is the way it's laying out, you don't need any more variance, or if you do need a variance, please go get it, and then you start working on more detailed drawings that needs approval from the building or the city engineer and the architect and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
as I said, in March as well, we're looking for a yellow going green, and once we have that, we can go in full force and start producing some more detailed drawings, getting those formal approval to start the construction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you're right there at this point. So the next logical step would be to, kind of have that technical meeting
Yep.
out of the commission and then come back with, polished plans.
Okay.
So I appreciate that you at least will look at that as an option
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
study that. I think it would make it a lot better. And then my last comment relates to the width of the drive aisles. And I know I understand why you did what you did. I'm of the opinion that 22 or 26 feet is way too
Way
wide.
too much, yeah. I know.
And 22 feet's acceptable. In the event of it's gonna be a sprinkler structure.
Yes.
And so in the event of a situation where we have some catastrophic or life-threatening event, the 22-foot wide drive is gonna be closed. You're gonna have access to push people out, patrons out the other drive aisle, the other entrance, and they'll close off a section and fight the hotel, the fire in this instance, if that's what it was, from one side. 22 feet's plenty wide,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And really, the issue is more of the radii or turning through the drive aisles is what you really need to take a look at. So I had suggested in having your engineer, in auto turn, run the auto turn templates so we can see those and determine if the radii are appropriate in this instance. But 22 feet is wide enough for.
Okay.
I was curious if we were landing an airplane when I looked at it. I was wondering.
Small,
I-
lane, small.
Again, that was one of the comment from, one of the review and,
Yeah, no, I
it was an
understand
easier change that we had to make and we made it. If you're looking to go back to 22 and then get you the radii or, whatever technical terms you get, that's gonna be my direction to my engineering team, and then they'll come back and produce what you're looking for, and if that gets approved, then we are good, And, that we get 4 more feet of, 4 and 4, 8 more feet of green space.
Well, that's
it,
why I
nothing
think
else.
you can get a lot
And
more
I
nice
agree,
green space.
Same thing with the parking lot. We are not applying for any variance because we don't want to go through that, but we're not gonna need 111 parking lot, The time that most of the employees are in the building is when the hotel is mostly empty. You know what I mean? So we're just creating extra blacktop that we don't need to, but again, if I have to go down on that and get variance, we don't want to waste anybody's time, so we'll do it happily, but that was,
Yeah, well, I think as you rightly pointed out, you'll gain a lot of green space. And that green space can shift, a substantial amount of that can shift to the south, I guess, in this instance. We can use more of that for mounting, for screening purposes to the residential. I feel like that would be.
By moving, you're suggesting we will move the building to the north?
I think you have a lot of ability to shift the building some, so you have more green space to protect the residential.
Well, yeah, we've not started building, so we can do that. It's not an issue, but I think that might cause an issue with the driveway matching, but yeah,
If it does, then at the bare minimum, we'll get 4 feet.
Okay.
To the side of the residential, which then you can increase that where you're doing your mounding to get more substance to protect some of that view shed.
Okay.
And then with regard to,
With
yeah,
regard,
there's a specific one space per rental unit or
Yep.
suite plus
And
one
2 per
for
employee.
each 2 employees. So that, unfortunately, there's no deviation. I think that was probably written at a time when things were a little different in the hotel industry.
and that's fine, we'll happily do it without, but what we've seen in our experience, it's just not, you're not gonna need that. I do have a quick question on the view shed. There is an existing tree line, thick enough tree line on that side, already there. Will that come into the play when we are designing? I mean, it's not on our property, we don't control it, we know that. But I don't think that residents or those developments are ever gonna cut those trees away, because they're actually doing what they're
Yeah.
supposed to do. Will we be able to work, because it's pretty heavy, it's pretty, if you go there and look at it, it's, look, if you go out on that last 2 or 3 houses, and, not that we've done that, but, we've driven through it, but it's pretty thick and heavy, that's
Is it the
already existing
residential's-
condition.
Is it their trees? Is the residential trees?
It's that development street, yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know, if it's the
I'm of the
apartment.
opinion if you can get some documentation from them that, well, one, it may be in an association and under the protection of the association and in perpetuity. And so if we have something that shows that, I think it can count towards your.
Because that's way better from my perspective than what's being proposed, what's being proposed is going to serve the purpose, because again, engineering came and did it, it's not me saying that this is good enough, it's a technical way, but what you have existing is pretty good and thick, but
Yeah, I mean, I think that again, if we can have
It's pretty
some
matured and,
documentation and you could even, if you could enter into an agreement with them that says if that vegetation were to die or, be removed, that, you both would be required to replace it. Because if we're gonna count it toward your screening protection, then you gotta have some skin in the game.
yeah.
But so if
We'll
you
just do
could
it.
do that, I mean, I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
I have just one clarification, or just something you might want to ask your architect, is just how thick is the roof truss itself, because the roof bridging, they're 2 foot, that's what
24
most of the
inches most
other,
of the time?
most of the other ones were 2 foot, so that's kind of where my guess was gonna be,
Yes,
okay.
it's gonna be, 24 inches is my, I guess that's what.
That's kind of what I came up with, but I just wanted to have you just verify that with him, because that'll put you up just a little higher for like where that actual top of the roof would be.
Okay.
So I was just trying to figure out how much room we might have here to play with,
Okay.
to do something different, so.
Mr. July, do you have anything?
I do have a few things. So,
Okay.
I'll try to be quick, it's getting late. So, first, you guys show a stormwater quality detention, I shouldn't use the word detention, stormwater quality area in the southwest corner. Good, thank you for showing that.
Southeast? Southwest, I don't know.
Southwest corner is where it's shown.
Yeah, you're right, southwest.
So
Sorry.
I'm glad you guys have set aside an area for that.
Yep.
That's great. Your engineer will do the fine calculations later, which we will review. Thank you. You will need clearance for wetlands on the property. So,
We've already done that.
Oh, you have?
Oh, yeah, we did that before March meeting. I was under the impression that I shared it. We didn't find it, there was no wetland or anything found. I was under the impression that we shared it, but if
study
we
done
do
by
just-
a wetland scientist?
Yeah.
Please share it with, send it to
I will-
Susan and Bob and myself, please.
I will do that, yes, I will do that.
Yes,
It was
please do,
done-
we do need that documentation for our records.
PSI, I think, it was done by PSI.
Okay.
But, well, yeah, we'll send it. You know,
Please
we'll send
do.
it to you guys, yeah.
And then lastly, I have too many papers in front of me, I apologize. Let's go back to the storm sewer easements.
Okay.
that Kind of cut across the property, and I guess, we'll kind of have to act as the owner of these storm sewer easements. And I guess a couple things. First of all, please have your engineer provide a utility plan in the next submittal that shows what utilities are actually in these easements. But I'm pretty certain that the two 20-footers or 25-footers, whatever they are, one runs from north to south, one runs from east to west, and then they kind of meet up.
Yep.
I'm pretty certain that those are storm sewer easements. As I look at your landscaping plan, here's where there's a little bit of a quirk we're gonna have. In the north-south storm sewer easement, the landscape plan shows trees, bushes, vegetation, whatever it is, in the islands, right in the middle of the storm sewer easement. So typically, you can't plant a tree
On the storm
in the
sewer.
storm sewer
Right.
easement. I know we always like, and sometimes we have requirements for trees in these islands, so something's gonna have to give.
Okay.
I don't know what, I'm not gonna try to solve the problem on the floor, I just want to call it to attention. So, the east-west one looks okay, looks like your mound and your trees are outside of the storm sewer easement. It's just a combination of grass and asphalt over top of it, so that doesn't seem to be a problem.
Anything else?
That's enough.
Bob, you got anything? And we do have, and you've got them, I know, the architectural review comments, but I think probably addressing those
That's fine, yeah,
when you have
because-
this meeting would be most beneficial.
I think they took care of a lot of them.
Yeah.
Adding all the brick with just a little bit of detailing, and I think it'll,
Yeah.
I think it comes down to just adding some additional detail.
Honestly speaking, our direction to the architect was make it look Western Reserve. That's it. Like, you know, we just don't know what else to say, but, you know, would be great if we can meet with the city architect and kind of start finalizing on what they want. And actually, if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind taking a picture of what you were just drawing, so I can share
Let
that
me
with
clean
my
it up a little
architect.
bit, and then I
Okay.
can shoot it. I'll make sure.
That would be
you
great
copy
too,
it. Yeah,
so,
I
you
was
know,
gonna
just to give an
like,
idea. Okay.
Yeah, I think there's, again, that's why I was asking for some of those heights, just to kind of like,
Okay.
not all of a sudden say, hey, you can do this, but then find out we've got a height issue.
Okay. One thing that I had question about was the fencing, that, you know, there was a comment in there that we don't show fencing, we don't know where to show fencing. Would have, you know, like, if you have any guidance for us, you know, and we can make sure it's part of our
I know
next.
we've been having various developments put it in. It's not like, this is not like a real hot corner where
That's what I
much
was
has been
thinking.
going on, so I don't know that, you know, the fencing, if we require it, like, you know, the ones that are front and on
One on the route,
Route
I've seen the Route 8, you know, what,
Yeah.
Route
It's very
8, there's also
visible
on
and
82, I've seen the new
Penn
development
Station
there.
has it.
But again, we are, you know, we're on the very non-busy side, so I don't know if that was a, but wanted to have some guidance, you
Well,
know, so we
82
can.
and then South Bedford.
Yeah, they've got it way up there at the corner.
It's visible.
I think that's, you know, it's like a major road that you got 82 traffic going. I personally don't know that I think it's necessary. I don't know what you guys have.
I kind of feel the same way, Chair.
I mean, without having it around everything else. on it.
I was gonna say, I think it'll stand out too
Without
much
place.
against everything, yeah.
Like, why is everybody else missing?
Love
Yeah.
having that fence, but unless Girl Scouts are gonna put it in and stuff, I don't know.
It's really a nice feature, and you twisted our arms, and we're willing to work with you to not do the fencing, provided the landscaping comes back
I
a little more substantial.
We twisted your arms.
You with that?
Oh my God, you gotta look at our first elevation and the second elevation. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Do you have any other questions for?
No, I don't. And flat roofs are absolutely not, like,
Well, I
you know,
think,
that's not an option at all.
I think again, if we, kind of what I was sketching, what I was kind of getting at, I think if we could somehow mansard it so that it looks like it has a little bit of a pitched element to it, but then inside is like the tub, we'll call it.
Okay.
I think there's a way, I think there's some details and ways to give it that appearance, and it maybe it's not even taking it that far. I have a couple of ideas, I'll just kind of sketch some
Yeah,
things
we'll
out.
continue working towards it and try to, you know,
Yeah,
get the rest
yeah.
as close as possible.
Again, I think it was a fast improvement forward, it's already seen it again, I think kind of when, just not to take up much more time, but I think again, kind of taking this and really kind of pulling it down, or even if that were to bump out a little bit, I think again, that helps to provide a little bit of that pitched element not being as large, because again, in looking at kind of like what you have going on right here, I think really kind of helps just accentuate that tower that you're putting there.
Okay.
And then just kind of, it breaks up this elevation even more so too, to not look just
As
so
lengths,
massive.
yeah.
I think if it were just a change there, and again, like, I feel like because you went a little bit past this door right here, if you did almost the same thing, went a little bit past there, it creates that tower
That
piece.
does.
And
Okay.
then, you know, obviously probably having the center of those windows and all of that, but again, I think it's something that's achievable, and I think then just figuring out how do we skirt the top part around it to make it just, but.
Perfect, we'll share that with our architect and go from there.
Okay.
Some key point, bring the building below 45, of course, below 45 feet, right? So yeah, that's a doable thing. Light pollution, you know, we'll bring those light 12 to 14 feet, and then, you know, that will help. More details on the view shed, you know, we'll share that more information as we go through that. Well, I didn't take the notes fast enough, but I'm pretty sure I'll remember it when I go back home. Would like to.
How quickly does the recording go up? How quickly is this available, the meeting?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow? So you can enjoy it
Go
a
enjoy
full
it.
second time.
Oh.
Watch it again.
And would
Dedication
be, and
visit.
use, you know, we would be able to meet with the city architect to.
What I do, I don't want to have my architect designing your building.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have your architect meeting with my architect until they prepare a plan. Then she will go ahead and look it over, she makes comments. We're going to send this plan back out to her again.
Okay.
And then we'll follow up and we'll put the two of them together. And
Okay.
they will actually talk via the telephone.
More technical, yeah, you know, more technical of what they're looking, because that, you know, things get lost in the translation
Right.
of what I tell them, so, yeah.
Can you send me a digital copy of this?
I will, yes.
Thank you.
I don't think I did,
The
but
one
I
that was
will.
submitted tonight.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm supposed to get you wetland study, which will happen, you know, tonight, and we'll also forward you this entire package.
Yep.
I'm sorry. You were saying, no?
I said what I said.
Okay. Architect, yeah,
Can you, please make sure that your landscape plan is performed by a landscape architect and
Yes.
not the architect?
yes.
Thank you.
The reason behind that was I was only focusing on the view shed and not the landscape plan, to be very honest, because, you know, I was thinking that's what I need to go to green, and then, of course, you know, everything else follows, but we'll just hire a landscape architect and kind of go from there.
Yeah, they do a great job on
Yeah.
the view shed.
That's right.
Architect, state of the building.
Yep, okay.
All right, well, do you guys have any additional questions? Commissioner? So, based on Mr. Francis' recommendations, you know, the preliminary development plan has enough information for us to give a preliminary approval. I don't even think there's any conditions, anything like that, that we need to put on a preliminary approval. All the you've received all the comments, you know, there'll be, you know what you need to address, at this point. Is that correct? We don't really need to?
Yeah, I think if you make it subject to the staff comments, I just want to confirm, is the commission, does the commission find it acceptable to do the 22-foot drive aisles?
That's what the code?
The code says 22 feet.
Okay. I mean, unless somebody really from fire provides some hard number that, you know, the why 20, greater than 22 is needed, that's big. I mean, that's a full-blown road. 26
bigger than a road.
It's bigger than a
26 is
road.
bigger than a road, you know?
And it's less than 9 feet wide. Again, it feels like the turning movements is really what we need to focus on.
And honestly, I don't know that you're gonna be able to get the truck around. I think you're coming in one side or the other. I don't think,
Yeah, maybe.
unless you're running over islands and you're assuming cars aren't parked there, there's no way a fire truck's making the turn around the building. I don't think you could round that corner up enough to get around there. I don't know if that's required, that the fire truck can get around.
I don't know what the, I don't know what the.
When you've got
fire
access from
code
two
addresses
sides.
that.
But I don't know that you would ever get, I don't think you could even swing around the back and get it, to get it through there. But I mean, I would be okay with the 20, I mean, I'm in support of the 22 foot unless there's some other big reason.
I'm good with that too.
Am I putting that on approval, 22?
So do you think that needs to be mentioned in the?
Yeah, I think give the applicant the direction that this is, it's more for your benefit.
Yeah.
So you're not fighting an uphill battle.
That
I'm
we know
gonna take
clearly
22.
what we're designing, yeah, so, you know,
Yeah.
because we don't wanna get another review and then, so, well,
All right, then I'll make a motion for a preliminary site plan approval with the direction of 22-foot drive aisles and with respect to all the staff comments should be addressed.
yep.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? Did you hear anything else I said?
I think you did a great job.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Well, thanks. This
Thanks,
is
guys.
Thank you.
productive.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
How are you gonna share that email?
I will send them to Bob and to
And then do
Susan,
it.
and then they'll
Perfect.
kick them over to you guys.
Perfect, great. All right, guys, thanks a lot.
Thank
you.
Another late night, but have a
Not
good
as
dinner,
late as a few months ago.
and then happy holidays.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. And I think there's probably a couple miscellaneous things here to mention. One at the back of our thing
You have
is,
to elect officers next year.
what's that?
I thought I heard you say you have to elect officers.
That's what I was gonna mention. I don't, this is probably it's the one time it actually occurred to somebody to do it before the year's.
We did it last year.
I just thought it'd be like 2 minutes.
Yeah, we did it, did we do it before the end of the last year?
We were
Okay.
on top of it last year.
I know sometimes it's like, in the past years, it's been like February and we realized we probably should. So yes, it was a list of the dates, nothing crazy in there besides what, February or March or January, February, March are all moved up, you know, week because of holidays. So if you stick it in your calendar. Besides that,
Juneteenth?
Yeah, but I don't think it affects us, it's not on Monday. It's on day.
It did, yeah, last year.
Make a motion. Is it keep the building?
make a motion for heat, even if we gotta chip in, or get rid of air conditioning at least, or put in for a solo stove or something. It would not bother me. Does anybody else want to be chairman next year?
I nominate you.
That wasn't what I asked. So does anybody want to? Maybe somebody wanted
Every
to.
year you do that.
I did that,
Yeah,
last year, 2 years ago.
So,
He's doing a good job.
You're good.
All right, you're all okay with that? And what, you've been the vice or whatever?
Yeah,
He's the vice.
You guys all okay with that? All right, same thing next year.
The assistant.
Assistant to the chairman.
Do we vote on that, or are we just good?
I think probably.
So Should we motion to adjourn?
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
I will motion to adjourn. I finally got a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.